Nobody But You, Southern City Band, Kicks 105.5. A great day. Give me a check 1-2. Check 1-2 there, Barrett.
1-2, check 2, 1.
There you go. He's good with numbers.
I am.
First and foremost, let's complain right off the bat.
Oh, no.
I had to buy my own pancakes at Saturday's Maple Fest breakfast, brought to you by you.
How much were they?
They were $5 a piece, and I want cash.
$5 per pancake?
No, if that was the
Man.
case, St. Johnsbury Chamber of Commerce would be out of business.
Give Turtle his share.
There you go.
Please.
I will do. I'll take your money. You
Turtle,
think
if you're
won't?
listening, $5 of that is for you.
Shut up. Expense, as far as insurance, we have talked about many things during Good Policies with Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance Agency, and here are some questions that I have. Being that the weather is getting warmer, if I traded one of my vehicles for a motorcycle, would that be incredibly cheaper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be. All right.
Could be. You say could be. And now
look at it this way.
feel free to share any details, because you now are my insurance guy, and I'm giving you the okie dokie check off HIPAA or whatever it is. You can talk about whatever you want, and I don't care. I've had.
By the way, now that I have your insurance, I plan on retiring next week.
now you and I had a long conversation about things that are factors into that, and I kept thinking, well, if I got cheaper cars, that would be a factor that would drop it greatly, or no?
Well, yeah. If you go to cars that don't require full coverage, that's certainly going to help you out. And then
full coverage is something that is...
It's a misnomer. It's something I don't necessarily like to say, but it's the most recognized way of describing having more than just liability coverage in your car.
Let's call it insurance every month is $1, okay? Out of that $1, if you're an at-risk driver, is that like 50 cents of that $1? Is that what, or more like 25 cents?
It's a much more complex determination
algorithm
of premium.
or determination.
Yeah.
You just can't ballpark it.
Unfortunately, no, because every company does it differently.
Something differently.
It really is.
All right.
It's almost impossible to identify. Some companies, last week at the end of our conversation, you asked about discussing points on a license.
Yes.
And there are companies that still use kind of what I consider not the old-fashioned way, but the more traditional way of what we call surcharging a policy.
Because
and that is,
I have 2 points on my license.
Yeah.
And I was one of the things that came up, even though I have a son 16 driving, I have a daughter that crashed 2 cars. Somehow my 2 points in my mind were like, pfft. But obviously it is part of the equation that they're concerned about.
Not necessarily.
Oh.
Not necessarily.
Tell me more.
So when you're talking about points on a license, that is a state thing. That has absolutely ixnay to do with the insurance.
Okay.
So insurance has their own determination. So maybe you got those points for some minor speeds. Well, minor speed is not considered a real big issue for most insurance companies. So you would not see it surcharged by most carriers for that, while you did get a point or two on your license for it. So it's a different way of looking at things. So never look at points on your license as what's going to happen when you go for an insurance quote, because the infractions, yes, those could certainly play a role, but the points are not a part of the game there.
But just to wrap up the points conversation, is it a point drops off every month? A point drops off every year? How
3 years.
One every 3
So
years?
not with the state. With the state, I don't know. I would assume it's similar, but with insurance, infractions drop off after 3 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, so be good.
No kidding.
So let's jump way back, because we never did give the detail on the motorcycles. So if you trade a vehicle and purchase a motorcycle, well, first off, you'll have to have a different policy, because you can't put a motorcycle on a personal auto policy. You have to get a motorcycle policy.
Okay.
Motorcycle policies are rated entirely different. They're rated based on the average ride time for your geographic location, which up here is about a month and a half. So you're going to see a much lower rate for that insurance because of the ride,
Versus if I lived in Arizona.
Yeah, because in Arizona you can ride year-round.
Yes.
So certainly that plays a role. And then motorcycles have less value. There's usually only one operator.
And if you get in a crash, it's really you that gets hurt and the bike gets totaled.
Right.
The other people are like, did you feel something?
What was that? Edith, what was that?
It's a 1,500-pound man on a motorcycle just ran into the back of my vehicle.
Oh, gonna be good.
My son was asking me this question because I was telling him that I would like him to contribute to some of the insurance money that goes to you now, because he's 16, and because our insurance dropped off, a couple of different things, but we gained a couple of things. And he said, well, why can't I just like insure my license or insure myself? Or if he moves out of the house, that would be really the cheapest realistic thing.
Do you really want to kick your kid out of the house?
I don't ask me on the radio. My wife wants to keep him, but I don't. He eats a lot.
So here's the deal. Insuring a license is certainly something, it's called a named operator policy.
Yeah, what is that? Tell me more about that.
You want to know why most people have a named operator policy? And this is just most, is because they have an SR22, which is a financial responsibility filing from having either a careless and I don't think CNN does that, but a DUI and other really high-level infractions can make, and even low-level, by getting caught driving without insurance, can make it so that you have to have a financial responsibility filing. And if somebody needs that and needs to have that 3 years of continuous coverage with that filing but doesn't own a vehicle, that's a primary reason. Some people do it when they just don't own a car, but they want to have some coverage. Now, most companies, when you have a named operator policy, you cannot have unfeathered access or untethered access to a vehicle. So if you're driving a vehicle with not, like if he can go to your car anytime he wants, he needs to be listed on your policy and not with a named operator, because the named operator could have some exclusions that say, look, we're just not going to cover that because you really should be on that policy.
And then you and I had discussed possibly doing, I jokingly said Snapchat. And my daughter was like, no, Dad, you're so old. It is Snapshot from Progressive.
Yes.
And you said that could potentially, after 6 months, save you money if it looks good. If it doesn't look good, well, then there's the opposite side of that coin.
If you drive like a Montreal cabbie or a NASCAR driver, which I don't know who sponsors anymore, I kind of forgot, that doesn't go well for you. If you drive like you're 10 and 2 in driver's ed for 6 months, man, I've seen some people save some money.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity there to save money. And the amount of crediting opportunities that are available with these companies now is unbelievable. I mean, Progressive really began the game with their Snapshot discount program, which is this little device that you plug into the diagnostic port of your car, and it's worked really well for them. And now companies like The Hartford and Safeco, among many others, have all introduced similar types of gadgets that plug into the port for an opportunity for savings.
I was going to say, pretty soon you won't need those. You'll just say, this is my car on your cell phone, and it'll automatically uplink to your insurance company. I see that coming in the future.
How about it's already here? Progressive has that.
Really?
You can download the Snapshot program onto your phone.
Holy moly. Big Brother's watching.
Big Brother's everywhere.
Mike Barrett, Good Policies. He joins us every Wednesday.
Stevens, he's watching me. He's watching me.
The Streaker. That's my favorite one. And if you get caught driving naked, is that extra points? I might make a couple dollars to go towards my insurance policy.
Please put some clothes on. $5. Okay.
I'll take it. You can catch him by calling
748-5224. Visit our website, thebarrettagency.com. We're on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, plus Google, Facebook, and YouTube as Barrett Insurance Agency.
So I noticed that I'm one of the highlights on all of those things that you have listed on YouTube and what have you. Am I getting kickbacks for any of this?
I'll give you a kickback.